All right, folks, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, man. Look at that breaking news. U.S.-China agreed to terms of phase one of trade deal. Wow. Nothing like getting it in under the wire. Welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. It has been literally a whipsaw day here in the market, even though you kind of been seeing it up. We're going to get through some ebb and flow and a lot going on in this market, and maybe a little bit of a buy on the rumor, and maybe a little bit of a sell on the news. I'm telling you, and you have to take this with a grain of salt, folks. This is like Lucy with the football, man. I've been here in the past 16 months about 90 times with this type of verbology. We're going to have a January implosion. All right. Before we get airborne, quick question. How many of you made about $14,756 today? How many? Well, yeah, I know you get. I love how my current members show up for these briefs. Nearly $15,000 today in bullish China trades. We're going to get into how, and this is on limited risk, folks. But the first thing I want to do is apologize because I lied to a bunch of you. I don't like lying, and I need to clear that up. So let me clear that up right now. If you got this email this morning at 9:50 in the morning for this webinar, it said, "Hey, close the China burner trade for over $6,000 profit in 1 week." That was a lie. Why? Because by the time we got into our live trade brief this morning and closed it, it was up to $11,317. So my apologies for that email going up. Between the time that email went out and the time we closed our burner trade, it made another $5,000. So my apologies for the email going out that's saying we made $6,000 in a week. I was wrong. We made over $11,000 in two trades, essentially. I'm going to teach you what a burner trade is called, but essentially we had a bull put spread on. You see this? It expired tomorrow. We had a bull put spread on, and we bought some long calls. These calls were up nearly 500% for $9,600. Oh, and by the way, there's about $2,000 in the bull put spread. Okay, so my apologies. I don't like fake news. Or thank you, Sandra. And then in another one of our portfolios, we made $1,600 on a bull put spread right here. This one expires tomorrow. I didn't close this one yet. I got to close it at the open tomorrow. That one's up about $1,600. And in our third portfolio, we had a different FXI trade on that, you ready for this, is up $3,400. Men lie, numbers don't. There are three portfolios. Actually, you're only today, since one of them is a closed portfolio, you're going to have the opportunity to get into two of these. But that's nearly 15 grand in bullish China trades. Why? Because we knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen, and I told this to our TGO members. I put this on the screen. I said, let me put two boxes up here for December. And I wrote HK in one box, and I wrote 1215. What's HK mean? I said, he's going to have to sign that Hong Kong support bill. Remember back here, the United States Senate, which is getting ready to impeach a president who has the economy at all-time highs, passed 100-0. Not one senator voted against the Hong Kong, support bill, like supporting democracy and slamming China. It passed the House 417-1. Apparently, one member fell and hit their head and became slightly retarded. There was no way on God's green earth he wasn't going to sign that thing. But when did he sign it, folks? Like midnight on Thanksgiving, like Wednesday before Thanksgiving, when the markets were closed. It wasn't a big news story. So let's put a check in that box. I said, he's going to sign it, even though he said, I don't, he kind of hemmed and hawed, and I ripped him apart. You don't hem and haw, Mr. President. Those Hong Kong protesters are running around with American flags and like make Hong Kong great hats on. They're holding signs that say, why don't we have our own Second Amendment? I saw some graffiti that quoted Thomas Paine, that said, give me liberty or give me death. And you're going to jump in bed with Xi Jinping? Come on, dude, knock it off. So we got that right. And then I also said he was going to punt. He's not going to do the December 15th tariffs. Guess what happened? Both of these were right. And we absolutely printed money. That's why I'm glad we're having this brief today. Because, yeah, exactly. I didn't lie. I miscalculated. I didn't do math. It's funny, when the support team sent out the email, literally we were in our brief. I'm yelling out of my office. I'm like, did you send that out yet? I'm like, make it 8. Wait, no, 10. You know what? Just send it. So there you go. Instead of $6,000 in profit, it was 11. So, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Many of you, if you don't know who I am, let me give you a little bit of a brief about who I am, and then we're going to get into the market. You ready for this? Because even though everybody's running around fat, dumb, and happy right now, this is going to be a sell on the news. We're going to have a Santa Claus rally for the next 2 weeks. And then come the beginning of January, you are going to see a market implosion that we see almost every January. What? Yeah, you heard me. And we're going to use this opportunity today as the VIX, the volatility index, is imploding to do what? To get long volatility. Because I'm going to give you a strategic brief, SOT, strategic operational tactical, because there are 2 massive issues out there right now that could cause this market to pull back 1,000 points in a blink of an eye. And it has zero to do with trade, and Donald Trump has zero control over it, more or less. Okay? So we have a lot to cover today, and at the end, I'm going to be able to tell you how you can get on board a couple of our services. Welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Wiz. I flew the FA-18 Hornet for the United States Navy for about 15 years. I graduated from the Navy Fighter Weapons School, which many of you know as Top Gun, the adversary program. I was a bad guy. If you've seen the movie Top Gun, I can't even say that name without like getting charged $50 in the squadron if you even brought up that movie. But anyway, yeah, we got Top Gun 2 coming out. Exactly. So I was a bad guy pilot at Top Gun. I flew adversary tactics. I studied Chinese. I studied Russian. I studied Indian tactics and their missile range, everything. So, you know, the Top Gun course is hard enough, but you have to do that and be the enemy. So did a lot of cool stuff when I was flying for the Navy. Flew in a bad guy jet over Pakistan. Don't even get me started about the shit show that happened in Pensacola and us training Saudi pilots. Last time we trained a bunch of Saudi pilots in the state of Florida to fly airplanes. They flew them in the World Trade Center. It's an absolute disgrace. Got to fly with the Blue Angels when my buddy was on the team, was a landing signal officer standing on the back of the ship at night, day, bad weather when I wasn't flying to help my fellow brothers get aboard. And I also flew 44 combat sorties over Iraq. Just to give you, if you don't have a visual of what the Persian Gulf is, the Arabian Gulf, this is it. You ready for this? This is me flying back to the USS Kitty Hawk. That's Kuwait, that's Iraq, and that's Iran. And there's a little boat right there in the middle of this lake. So very familiar what's going on over there. My one of my best friends is the commanding officer of the USS Abraham Lincoln, sitting right there in the middle of the Arabian Gulf. Why am I bringing that up? Because that is a potential black swan that almost none of you know about right now. None of you. Why? How do I know that? Because the media ain't covering it, ladies and gentlemen. Right? It's absolutely not being covered. We're talking impeachment. We're talking trade deals. We're not talking about some potentially bad things that are going on, and we have to talk about those. The best time to fix your roof is when, folks, as John F. Kennedy said, when it's sunny out, man. You ain't climbing up on the roof when it's rainy. So it's very sunny right now. Love the market rally today. It is not going to last. It's going to last through the end of the year with the Santa Claus rally. But let's just caveat all this. All the new stuff I just saw said, you know, pending Trump's approval. Yeah. We're on month 16 of this, folks. All right. But real quick, I went from the cockpit to the trading pit. Was born and raised in South Jersey, one of 6 Irish Catholic poor kids outside of Philadelphia and outside of South Jersey. Always interested in finance, but my parents taught me service above self. Love the ocean, love flying. So there you go. That Reese's peanut butter cup equals wanting to be a Navy fighter pilot. But growing up, going to my Catholic school in my little uniform, I used to sit across from my dad eating breakfast, and he'd have the Wall Street Journal up, and on the back of it, it would have these little hieroglyphic symbols there. And I'd say, "Hey, Dad, what are those?" And he explained the markets to me. And, well, son, if you own stock in McDonald's and you go get that Happy Meal today, the stock might go up and you actually might make money. So I was always interested in finance. And I was learning to fly and fight fighter aircraft. I started to apply everything I learned flying a fighter jet to my trading, because at the end of the day, I sat there, I'm like, hold on a second, man. I just got my ass handed to me in this trade and somebody won. I don't like losing, so why don't I apply what I'm learning? Having a strategy, implementing tactics, contingency planning. Before I even get airborne in a trade or on a mission, asking myself what could go wrong before I even take off or place this trade, so when it goes wrong, I'm not freaking out. Knowing when to get out of a good or bad situation before it gets worse. I applied all of that to my trading with incredible results, ladies and gentlemen, and I eventually popped up on the radar of one of the largest volatility arbitrage firms. That's a big word for equity options trading firm, headquartered right there in the Chicago Board of Trade. Beautiful. If you've been to Chicago, you know this building. This is the CBOT, Chicago Board of Trade. That's the intersection of Jackson and LaSalle. Actually, if you've watched Batman, the Joker, this is the main street where they film everything. But that was our trading floor right there. You see these big, beautiful windows. Very, very historic trading firm. I had an absolute blast when I lived there. But and it was cool. I helped build a hedge fund when I was there. I helped build the retail brokerage that many of you know as Options House, which is now E-Trade, when I was there. And I was the managing director of strategy. It was a $2.5 billion firm. I also, at the same time, I was the managing director of strategy. I was the founder and CEO of the Options News Network, ONN.TV. I know John and Pete, if you guys watch CNBC, I know John and Pete from my time in Chicago. They do a halfway decent job of trying to tell you what options are or options activity. We did it 24/7, man. I should show you the TV commercials I had on CNBC. I hosted a bunch of the programs. I gave retail traders such as yourself a behind-the-scenes look at what was going on in the options world. Had an absolute blast doing that, but I got to be honest with you, man. I felt like Valentine in Trading Places. I was a little old, Navy fighter pilot retail trader. What the hell would the smart money want to know what I do? Well, guess what, man? The smart money, they put their pants on, the same way we do. And I got into a lot of big boardrooms and a lot of rooms and rubbed elbows with a lot of supposedly smart money people. They ain't that smart, folks, or they were as smart. There's a lot of times where I'd be sitting in a room where people are asking me what to do. I'm like, if you're asking me what to do, we're in a lot of trouble. No, I'm kidding. So I had an absolute blast. So no offense to any of you that are from Chicago. I loved it. I know Tom very well. I loved, Thinkorswim. Folks, when I ran the Options News Network, Thinkorswim, E-Trade, Scottrade, Fidelity, they all advertised on my programs, man. I had a blast, but no offense to people from Chicago. 9 months out of the year, you want to put a bullet in your head. It's misery. Walking from Union Station to the Board of Trade in February was a survival situation. So, I picked up my squadron and we moved down here this is actually when we left Chicago. We moved down here to God's Waiting Room, Boca Raton, Florida, where I started Top Gun Options 10 years ago. Rudy, I know Jonathan Rose very well. John's a great buddy of mine. He was at Breakwater when Peak 6 and Breakwater integrated. I know John very, very, very well. So yeah, Jonathan's a buddy of mine. But so this picture's a little dated. Obviously, I'm a lot older than that. This kid right here is 19 years old. I think I dropped him on his head when he was a kid. He's slightly slow because he wants to fly for the Marine Corps. So he goes to Norwich University in Vermont, plays hockey. He's in the Corps of Cadets. Very proud of my son, Matthew. This boy right here, that's my boy, Jack. Looks like he's got the devil in him. He wants to go to the United States Naval Academy and fly for the Navy. And then this is my daughter, Keely Grace, who is 11, going on 29, and she's not allowed to leave the house until I pass away. So that's a little bit about me, my background. I love playing counterintelligence. I go to other webinars and other dudes stuff. Like as soon as they're like 95 slides into their PowerPoint presentation, I'm like, I have no idea who you are, your background, or anything, but you're showing me these 5,000% returns you had 15 years ago. So I always need to start with a little bit about my background, who I am, my family, and how I got to where I am. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get airborne right now, and we have a lot to talk about because there's a lot going on in this market. What a tactical market, folks. I mean, this is insanity. And obviously, Twitter's not been around long enough for me to say. I've been doing this for 27 years. I was a young ensign stationed at Naval Air Station Key West, Florida. I remember buying my first USA mutual fund and investing. The first two stocks that I bought, my young looking bride right there at the time, kept Ann Taylor in business, and I paid the Amex bill. Those were the first two stocks I bought. But back in the day, man, first of all, there wasn't any Twitter. But second of all, I don't think I had Carter, I had Reagan. Hell, I was born in 1968. I think I had Johnson. But anyway, almost no president in the history of my life talked about the stock market. We got a guy who tweets. Well, we got a guy who last week at the NATO summit said, I don't watch the stock market. That's whatever, a down day. I care about jobs. And then you can look in the past month at all of his tweets about the NASDAQ being at record highs, your 401k. And of course, the guy watches the stock market. What I'm getting at is this is an extremely tactical market. I sit here as one of my tabs on my screen throughout the day is this dude, his Twitter feed. So this morning, I literally was having my cup of coffee, doing my intelligence gathering, and Reuters came out with a story that said he is going to increase tariffs on December 15th. I'm like, whoa, what? The futures went down. Things started turning red. I'm like, oh boy, man, I thought I was going to be wrong about this. Look at this. Look at this guy's Twitter feed today. These were all tweets from today. Obviously, this is mostly impeachment stuff. You have to get down to, oh my God, this is the most tweets I've ever seen in a day from this guy. All right, whatever. What I was going to show you the tweet this morning, right before market open, he tweeted out, getting very close to a big trade deal with China, big or whatever, exclamation point. The futures turned around and the market exploded. So that's when I sent out, this marketing email was already sent to go out. And then we sat in the live trade brief. Every Thursday, we do a weekly debrief. So our weekly debrief, we sat there and literally watched as FXI, this is the iShares China ETF that we got bullish on last week. This right here, folks, this time last week, between now, look at that. 5.5% jump in that, and we made 15-ish grand on our FXI trades. Two of those trades we placed this week. The burner trade itself the one that made 11 grand was last Thursday. Last Thursday morning, we put on that burner trade. I'm going to explain to you what a burner trade is. Why? Because I'm getting ready to do one. You ready for this? In the opposite direction. Can anybody explain to me why the S&P 500 had a massive rally today? Look at this, and then gave a lot of it back, and then into the close. Yeah, exactly. Trust me, my phone's been buzzing. The breaking news: he is agreeing to the phase one. I get it. Has everybody heard the Wall Street-ism? Buy on the rumor, sell on the news. If you were a member here months ago, here and here, you printed money. Why? Because the market went up on what? Oh, the Fed's going to cut a quarter point. They might even do a half a point. Okay. The market's going to implode after he does that. What? Implosion. August. This was my best trading in 27 years in August. This was fantastic. I love this. This is an options trader's dream right there, ladies and gentlemen. One day down 1,000, next day up 300, 400, up, say that down. This is what you want. That's a target-rich environment. But the next time, coming into the next Fed meeting, he's going to cut a quarter point. It's bullish for the market. No, it's not. Buy the rumor, sell the news. So here we go again. We are going to have a nice Santa Claus rally. So to answer the question of this webinar, we're going to get a lump of coal? Nope. Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen, for all of him just being a businessman and not a politician, did anybody think this dude honestly was going to give us that for Christmas? If he increased the tariffs Saturday or at midnight, Monday morning the market would have done that. So now Donald J. Trump, the third president to be impeached, in 1 week can say what? I got a new NAFTA. I got the USMCA. Nancy sat on it for a year because she was running around trying to impeach the guy. Just how disgusting is our country at this point, folks, that they impeach the dude, then they run over to another press conference where they finally pass this thing. Look, we can walk and chew gum. My God, folks, so our country, I don't even get started. But look at this. In 1 week, we got the Democrats, Republicans, I'll use we, since that's a lot of terms in the impeachment thing. We got this is fantastic for the economy, folks. Let me scroll down to the end of this thing. The Federal Reserve Chairman on October 30th in a press conference said, hey, if we could get rid of this trade uncertainty, business sentiment's going to go through the roof. I do think it would be quite positive over time. We need to impeach Pelosi. So, folks, what happened this week? Yesterday, Federal Reserve Chairman Powell kind of sat there and did a little victory lap, didn't he? He said he cut here and Donald Trump ripped him to shreds. They raised too fast. They haven't cut too far. We need zero interest rates. We need QE. Look at Germany. Look at Europe. My Fed chairman sucks. My God, dude, the guy, you talk nicer about Xi Jinping or Rocket Man in North Korea than your own Fed chief. Same thing here. Cut 25 points. Donald Trump rips him a new one. Well, guess what? Jerome Powell actually looks like the dude ended up being right. So I'm giving you kind of a big strategic agreement here, or brief, because then it's called SOT, folks. If you're not used to my format, SOT. Many of you don't do that, and you do that, the T. Some of you might be sitting here going, all right, dude, this is all great. What's the trade? You're not going to be a good Top Gun Options member because you have to know what's going on strategically. There are two massive potential black swan issues I have to brief you on that could happen in the next couple weeks. Then we're going to get operational and talk about the United States, what's going on. Salim, you just asked about impeachment. I'll give you my opinion. We need to talk about the Fed, earnings, blah, blah, blah. Strategic, operational, and then at the end of our brief, in about 30 minutes or whenever, I'm going to get tactical and show you the trade. Do not be T at the bottom, all T all day. I'm going to treat you when you become a member here at Top Gun Options as an admiral or a general, and you're going to sit there in our live trade brief and get a brief, man. Smoke your cigar, drink your coffee, put your boots up on the table, admiral or general, and I'm going to give you a damn brief about what's going on because you have to know. Then O, then T. Let's start strategic. So last week at the NATO summit, right here, remember Donald Trump woke up that day before he got on Air Force One and blasted Argentina and Brazil with tariffs on steel and aluminum. Why? Because they were sucking up to Xi Jinping. For the past 16 months, Donald Trump has been crowing about all of the ag purchases China's going to make. Our farmers are going to be huge, huge farmers. Nobody does farmers better than me. China's going to buy $50 billion a year. You know what China did? They went down to Brazil, hung out with Bolsonaro, and the Brazilian farmers have been printing money. China's been buying all of the damn soybeans from Brazil. Okay, so NATO summit last, and oh, by the way, I think he was on the airplane when he did this. He smacked Macron in the face with a tariff on wine, cheese, and whatever, champagne, because Macron was going to hit our internet tech companies with an online tax. And he's like, Donald Trump's a little mafia guy. Hey, man, you don't hit my companies. I hit my companies. Forget about it. So this was tariff day last week. So look at the swing in the market from, oh, my God, this guy just woke up and hit Brazil and Argentina with tariffs, and France, to today. This, ladies and gentlemen, is incredibly tactical trading. Why do I bring up the NATO summit and everything that about the tariffs and stuff like that? Because he was at a NATO summit, and guess what is going on right now? There is a dude that he used to call Little Rocket Man who hopped on his white horse last week. There's this great I think it's on Nat Geo, like the one Monty Python dude, Michael Palin, and then they have the two sisters that got arrested in North Korea. Look at this Nat Geo special about North Korea, both of those. Sit there for 4 hours, break it up. I don't care what you do. North Korea, folks. When the dude hops on his white horse and goes up Mount Pikachu, I don't know how to pronounce it. It looks like Pikachu. When he goes up Mount Pikachu, usually after every time he goes up there to, I don't know, talk to the burning bush or whatever, when he comes down within weeks, something bad, well, maybe good for his opinion, something bad happens. Last week, North Korea said, we are going to get a Christmas gift. We, the world, not necessarily the United States. What does that mean? Trump, kind of using his linguistic skills, has said, it's okay. The guy, we had a handshake in Singapore. He hasn't done a nuke test, and he hasn't fired a ballistic missile over Japan or any more ballistic missile tests. Yeah, but the guy's been lighting off bottle rockets left and right. Yeah, well, that's a little temper tantrum. He's fine. Well, last week we got into a little bit of what, folks? The president actually, in passing, called him Rocket Man again. And last week, the North Koreans said it would be a shame if we're back at name calling because the dotard is going to get a Christmas present. Let me give you the summary slide here. I believe, and one of the benefits you're going to get here at Top Gun Options when you become a member, I got a big Rolodex, man. I never burned any bridges in my life. I got a lot of buddies. The last time this was a big deal, we had 3 carrier strike groups. They're called CSGs. The last time we had that much iron in the Pacific was like the Battle of Midway. I knew all 3 commanding officers of every aircraft carrier, of each carrier, and I knew 2 out of the 3 commanders of the air wings. So actually when my buddies go quiet, something's about to happen. And when Trump launched a ballistic missile or the cruise missiles into Syria, I was off by 6 hours. So what am I getting at? The last time we had something like this, the market was all over the place. Does everybody remember a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, the government employee that like lit off the Hawaiian alert system that a nuke attack was going to happen? North Korea was striking. Guy died of a heart attack. What short memory we have. A year and a half ago, the president sat in his golf course in Jersey. I'll never forget this. I think we were in a live trade brief. Does everybody remember this? He looks into the camera. He goes, I am going to rain fire and fury down on North Korea, the likes of the world has never seen. I about fell out of my chair. I'm like, did he just threaten to vaporize 25 million people? Remember this? Democrats frothing at the mouth. He's going to get us into a nuclear war. 6 months later, he's shaking the guy's hand. 8 months later, he's in North Korea stepping across like the line and shaking hands. It doesn't matter, guys. Be present. If between now and the end of the year, they launch a ballistic missile, they're going to launch it over Japan. They did this once. Japan didn't shoot it down. We didn't shoot it down. Maybe over a beer. I'll tell you exactly why. But net enough spent on this. Do you know this is going on? No. If you're watching impeachment, you're watching a trade deal, you're not looking strategically at the globe. If they do something bad, if they light off a bottle rocket, folks, the market is not going to take it well. Now, let's move on to the other potential black swan. So right now, let me give you I think I kind of gave you the bluff, right? In the military, we call it a bluff, BLUF. Before you start a brief, let me give you the bottom line up front. The bottom line up front, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Solstice, what was Seinfeld? Festivus. Happy Festivus, whatever you're going to celebrate, you got it until my birthday. Subtle hint, my birthday is 12/31. I'm a New Year's baby. However, if between now and Donald Trump giving us a nice Christmas present with this trade deal, we get a North Korea ballistic missile launch or this, are you ready for this? And this is deadly serious. Iran. Last week, I briefed my members on this. You probably didn't hear about this. the commander of CENTCOM and the commander of Fifth Fleet, said, we believe in the coming weeks, Iran is going to attack U.S. forces and installations. They already did the other day, ladies and gentlemen. They did a rocket attack in Iraq where we're based. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs said, you need to, let's talk about this real quick, folks. Let me give you the history. 6, 7, 8 months ago, British tanker gets seized. The Brits, God bless what the Royal Navy used to be. Remember the motto of the Royal Navy? The sun never sets on the Royal Navy, meaning they had ships everywhere. Man, they didn't even have a rowboat with a shotgun, like within spitting distance of this tanker. Tanker got seized, whatever. We didn't do anything. We actually said, hey, you need any help? Britain's like, no, we're going to go to our European allies and get a coalition together. France told them to pack sand. Germany told them to pack sand, and Italy laughed. So Great Britain came back to us and said, yeah, could you maybe we're here, friend. Then what happened? Drone gets shot down. A United States RQ-4 drone gets shot down. What happened with that? Donald Trump said, you're going to pay. Here, I'm locked and loaded. Remember all these tweets? I'm like, holy shit, man, Then what did he do? Within hours of, actually not hours, I think dudes were spinning on the flight deck, he called off the strike. And he looked ridiculously stupid as to why. He said, well, I found out that an estimated 150 people might die. So, it's a drone. That was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. What did that guy do? You want to talk about markets? He just made a market. One drone now equals what? 150 bodies. And he sounded even more like an idiot. You know why? Because there's no way, as a briefer, ladies and gentlemen, if we're going to go do some damage, the first words out of our mouth when we're briefing a superior, especially the president, is casualties. What is our casualty assessment? So him kind of making it sound like, oh, somebody just ran and gave me a piece of paper before we were going to attack. And guess what, Mr. President? We weren't blowing up a baby milk factory like the Iraqis always said. We were going to go after their air defense system. I'm rambling about this because what happened next after we didn't do anything? They attacked the Aramco Saudi oil fields, a quarter of the world's oil. So I am telling you, both of these things are going to happen. This is why you're here. You're looking at the trade deal on Bloomberg's breaking news. You're looking at your stocks, the impeachment crap. I'm telling you, North Korea is going to shoot a bottle rocket, and I'm telling you, Iran is going to attack. And this time, it's going to be U.S. forces. We haven't done anything. I get Donald Trump doesn't want us in the Middle East. God bless him for trying to get us out. But it's like Michael Corleone in Godfather 3. Every time I'm out, they pull me back in. I do not want this to happen. I told you my best friend's the commanding officer of the Abraham Lincoln. This is awful. But you're here to talk about trading and investing. So as we do this, you need one hand on your ejection handle. Capiche? So sometimes I call it a hold your nose rally. So I kept some bullish trades, I call them seasonal trades, like on Visa and the retail ETF and Amazon. We're going to get this, but if during this that happens or that happens, it might be in danger, right? Always, always, always looking at the potential threats. That's what you have to do as an options trader. That's what you have to do as a pilot, man. Okay. Now, let's go down the line here. Let's take a look at the global mouthpiece. You need to be reading the Wall Street Journal every day. You also need to be reading, make this a bookmark, the Global Times. Look at the Global Times today. Capitalism is losing appeal to the Chinese. Okay. China will lead new Asian order, the Asian century. U.S. efforts to block Huawei futile. Oh, positive signs from U.S. welcome, but more needs to be done to end trade deal. Look at the next headline, ladies and gentlemen. Economic hardship, not bad for China. Are people starving and losing jobs? It's okay. Scurvy, it is a propaganda machine. You have got to, I'll read this to you. Folks, I'm very passionate about what I do. if I wasn't doing it to train you guys, I'd do it for me. This is why I started Top Gun Options. You put the ladder down. People are like, dude, you made it on Wall Street. Now what? I'm like, if you made it in the military, when I went to Top Gun, you didn't put the patch on your shoulder and go back to your fleet squadron like, dude, I know everything, and I'm not going to tell you. No, you put the ladder down. You help your brothers and sisters out. But you have got to start reading the Global Times. You have to see what your enemy is thinking. So this is what I'm telling you. Let me give you. Let's go through the good right now. U.S. reaches a phase 1 trade deal with China in principle. Well, that's kind of an interesting word. U.S. makes tariff cut offer to China as deadline nears. Negotiators want Beijing to boost purchases, provide greater access to China's financial services. Oh, wait, everything's great. Or no deal. Ladies and gentlemen, at 10 o'clock this morning, what did I brief you that the Chinese said to us about Brazil? Is it this article? I think there's been so many updates. Oh, here it is. You ready for this, folks? This is why you have to be hedged. This paragraph made my day. Let's go. You ready? Chinese negotiators have been reluctant to meet U.S. demands during recent discussions. They worry that guaranteed purchases, meaning Trump saying 50 billion a year, they're buying soybeans, going to be huge, would cause friction with China's other partners. In addition, Chinese officials have argued that the purchases should be based on, you ready for this? They're throwing capitalism in our face. Purchases should be based on market prices and organic demand. For example, Brazil is offering soybeans at lower prices than the U.S., and if we're going to buy soybeans from you, it's a disadvantage to our buyers. Holy crap, folks, read that paragraph. And then go back to here. Capitalism is losing its appeal to the Chinese. The damn Chinese just threw capitalism in our face. Like, well, we don't know about these ag purchases, man. We got a great deal with Brazil. I have a semi-losing trade on right now, being bearish on Brazil. But guess what? If we get this deal, the Brazilian Bovespa is going to implode. Brazil's farm. So here's a potential pairs trade. Bullish on the FXI and China, bearish on the EWZ. Last week, folks, Bolsonaro was quoted as saying when he got smacked in the face by these tariffs out of the blue, he's like, I'm going to pick up the phone. He literally said that. He's like, no, I'm going to call Trump. He doesn't want to do this to us. Hey, I know you and him are close, Bolsonaro. They call you the Trump of the tropics. Did you ever hear Trump say America first and, screw the world? So very, very exactly, Tamara. I'm glad Tamara's been here for a while and she's 500-pound brain. She got to where I'm going. She's like, I haven't seen anything that says the Chinese have agreed to it. Tamara, that's why I brought this up. You got to click refresh on this thing. Here's what I've seen so far. Positive signs from the U.S. are welcome, but more needs to be done. Folks, I've told you when we agreed, when we did the Hong Kong bill, the Chinese said, if you sign that Hong Kong bill and support those terrorists, you will never get a trade deal with us. What happened? Well, here we are talking about a phase 1 trade deal. The Chinese also said, we're not just happy with you not doing the December 15th tariffs. You need to roll all of them, every tariff, back to a big fat zero. And remember, the Chinese ministry said, you guys started this. We want everything at zero. Exactly. So this, if you've been here at Top Gun Options, we've had a blast trading the hell out of this trade war, man. It's been fantastic. But how many times does everybody remember the G20 summit down in Buenos Aires, Argentina? What did the president do at that press conference? Xi Jinping, he agreed to all these ag purchases. He agreed to stop fentanyl and opioids, and it's a huge, comprehensive deal. Everything's fantastic, huge deal. A week later, he increased tariffs. So do not believe all of the headlines. Larry, that's a great way to put it. They read the art of the deal and they're kind of art of deal in the back at him. So be very, very, let me look at this headline, then we have to take a look at the trade. So strategic brief, already got operational. We're going to get tactical in a second and look at a couple trades. Look at this headline, and I want you to, if you were snoozing for the past 39 minutes, wake up. Markets have not priced in any bad news. Nothing. Us being up here right now, folks, assumes we do have a phase one. North Korea doesn't light off a bottle rocket, and Iran wishes us Merry Christmas. This market, folks, is set up for perfection. Let's take a look at the S&P 500 historically for the past couple years. What happens when you have, let me scroll out a little bit. Here's 2018, folks. You ready for this? November, December. Rip your face off, Santa. Holy crap. Look at December of 2018. And bear market, January into February. Holy crap, even lower into March. Does everybody remember this? I'm telling you, folks, doing this for 20, exactly, Graham. There are 3 black swans on the radar, and they're big. But look at this. Now, for all the people sitting here, whoa, hey, hold on there, smart guy. Look at last year. There was a November, December implosion, and look at January, whiz. You obviously don't know what you're talking about. Right here on October 3rd, Jerome Powell said what? Economy's doing pretty damn good. We're going to raise interest rates. And holy shnikes, Batman, that was a temper tantrum. Does everybody remember what happened last fall? That's when Jerome Powell stopped being the Fed chief and started being a trader. Like, he did his job here. Hey, man, the economy's good. We should probably crank up interest rates on a nice, steady path. He actually mapped it out, and we did that. So when December 31st, my birthday happened, and we turned the calendar to January 1st after this clown car, it was a buying opportunity. Ignore that. That's what happened last year. Put it in the context of that moment. What happened this year? What usually happens every year? A November, December, Santa Claus, Festivus, Kwanzaa rally, and then a January take profits. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, before we got to this trade deal stuff, we were in this rally. We were in a fear of missing out rally. I briefed, 4 weeks ago, folks, a Morgan Stanley report that said there are a lot of money managers out there that are underperforming the S&P 500 year to date. I've ran a trading firm, folks. This time of the year, everybody's nice to each other. Why? Because it's bonus time. Everybody was nice to me around bonus time. But here's what I'm getting at. If you underperformed, if you're sitting here coming in November and you're like, the S&P is beating my fund right now, you're going to have a lot of unhappy people. So what do? You buy. And then what happens on January 1st? You sell to take those profits and get ready for the next year. Does that make sense? Everybody give me a vertical head nod. Can I be wrong? Yep. We could just keep on going. But here's the other reason why I don't think we do this in the January. Is there hundreds of people in this room? Let me see if there's one person in this room. It might be the Chinese People Liberation guy that's monitoring my account, but is there one person out of the hundreds of people in here that actually believes that China is going to live up to anything that they promise? Yes or no? Does anybody believe, everybody's already putting no, does anybody believe they're going to stop stealing our intellectual property? They stole our submarine secrets under Clinton. Folks, they're hacked into Goldman Sachs. They steal everything. Does anybody believe that they're going to stop government subsidies of their companies? Their municipal debt makes Chicago look solvent. Does anybody believe that literally they use capitalism on us? They use the reverse Jedi mind trick on us. Like, hey man, if we buy soybeans from you, they're going to be more. We can get them cheaper from Brazil. So I get this, ladies and gentlemen. I get that. Oh, this is a great picture. Look at this picture, folks. Does everybody remember like 8 months ago, Vice Premier Lee Hu sitting right here, telling Trump we're going to do a bunch of ag purchases and we're going to have a trade deal? Does everybody remember the market going up like 500 points back in the day after this meeting? I do. We traded it. It is exactly, Tom. They are not. Um, the Chinese are in this for 1,000 years, man. We don't even know what we're doing for lunch tomorrow in this country. The Chinese just kind of laugh at us. Xi Jinping is president for life. Uh, Putin is president for life. Trump might be, 6 years if he's lucky, or 5, or who knows. Exactly, their debt to GDP ratio. So I'm going to tell you that this is a hold your nose rally. But the fact, ladies and gentlemen, and the future, I got the futures on my phone. The fact that the futures aren't up quadruple digits right now tells me all I need to know. The market right now is doing a little bit of a Lucy with the football, and looking at this going, mm, ah. Time to get tactical. So, what would I do? Well, the first thing I would do is take a look at our altimeter, our barometer, our fear index. I actually don't call it the volatility index. I call it the uncertainty index. We made, and when you become a member in about 15 minutes, we made $7,000 last week on long volatility trades. This was the longest period of low volatility I've seen in my career. Trust me, I sat here with a glass of wine looking, I couldn't find when the last time we had this much. And then right here, I said, that's it, we're done. We're loading the boat on volatility. 1, 2, 3, shaboom. And then I predicted it's going to stay elevated. Why? Because it stays elevated on uncertainty. The fact that the VIX only closed down 7 tells me something. I'm going to teach you to look at a bunch of instruments in the cockpit so you can come up with, do I shoot this guy or not? I would expect that we come in a little bit because remember, and we made, was it 20? We made 11 on the way up and 11 on the way down with Brexit. The VIX went up around the Brexit deal. I actually got it wrong, folks. I got it wrong. I'm like, they'll probably stay. I didn't know. It was a coin flip. I got it wrong, and we still made 22 grand. Why? Because volatility went up going into the vote, and then when they voted, what happened? The second that the votes were counted, something was known. What happens when something's known? It's known. You get an A+. Volatility comes in. So guess what? We're most likely going to give a little bit back in the VIX. But I'm telling you right now, it is time to get re-long volatility. Look at the last time we had a good spate. Big pop, and then all of this. A little pop, and then all of this. Whether it's Iran, whether it's North Korea, whether it's this isn't worth the paper it's printed on, and between now and Saturday, Trump goes, you know what? I don't like what the cut of this guy's jib from China. I'm going with the tariffs. Folks, before we get to the trade, I'm going to tell you, and my members can tell you this, I was walking around the campus, my son's campus in Norwich, glued to my phone because remember this bloody Friday? He punted on the tariffs initially, and then the Chinese said, well, no, we're still going to hit you with ours. He said, oh, yeah, well, F me, F you back. And we had bloody Friday. Everybody remember that? That was in the span of a day. And that's why for at least 2 of the 3 FXI positions today, I said, what? Close them. Take the money and run. Nobody in the history of taking profits has gone broke taking a profit. Period. So this one's still open. I got to close these at the open. I might be giving some of this profit back, but these are closed. The 11,000 profit, and these were on limited risk, folks. You ready for this? We paid these calls that made what, $9,800 were $1,800. This bull put spread right here was risking exactly $5,000. If everything went to hell in a handbasket, that was the max potential loss. So this isn't like unlimited risk. We risked 50. We essentially, insane. So I'm actually going to talk to you right now about was anything, Mark? Well, that's what's going on, folks, is the market, the fact that with all of this today, as we got into the close, as I was getting ready to jump on the air here and looking at all the tweets, and this was, we're only up this, look at these days, folks. That was a gap down of like 800 points. The market, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, and I will say it, it's getting used to the trade war. Okay, Wilbur Ross, the Commerce Secretary, around the NATO summit said, what? We think it would be a great time to raise tariffs in December. We think things are baked in. People are settling in. I briefed you on a couple Chinese heavies, retired heavies, at a conference 2 months ago that said, what? We expect this trade war to go on for decades. If not, we don't think it's ever going to end. Exactly, Alan. So the market's getting used to this. Okay. But what I am saying is, if we keep doing this, ho, 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 Trump, January 1st, we're going to see this. I know nobody. I talk to a lot. I got a lot of buddies run big funds, and a lot of phone calls and texts and just shooting the shit with guys. There is not one person who is not going into January and thinking about buying. They are thinking about selling. Okay. So, all right. Well, exactly, Larry. That's kind of a wizism, right? The market only cares when it cares, and right now it ain't caring. It ain't caring about Iran. It ain't caring about North Korea, and it ain't caring about the Chinese saying, "Yeah, this is kind of welcome, you talking nice to us, but we need everything to go to zero." Folks, I was sitting. I don't even like saying this name anymore since that mayor's from there. I was sitting in South Bend, Indiana, after giving a speech up in Michigan on a Sunday, and that happened, right? Lighthizer and Mnuchin were in China, and they were close. Before Mnuchin got on an airplane and went to China, folks, what did he say? I'll never forget that. I lost money on a trade because of this guy. We are 90, folks. The Secretary of the Treasury, from Alexander Hamilton to Steve Mnuchin, said what? We are 90% of the way to a deal. Hell, we're just going over there to see what salad dressing we're going to use at the signing ceremony. We're good. By Sunday, Lighthizer called Trump and said, they think Biden's going to win, and you're not even going to make it through your first term, and they're going to drag their feet. What did he say? He said, start the damn airplane and get home now. So if you were an idiot like me, not an idiot, you believed the Treasury Secretary. Well, when the market opened that Monday, holy implosion, Batman. Okay. So I do my job as an instructor, as a trainer, teaching you how to trade options by pointing out all of the intelligence. At the end of the day, you are the PIC. You are the pilot in command, and ultimately have to take your shots or eject or do whatever. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Doesn't necessarily mean that's what you should be doing. So let's go back to look at volatility. Write this down, man. If you didn't learn anything today, you're going to learn this. When volatility is cheap, buy it. When it's expensive, sell it. Yep, I'll repeat it. When vol is cheap, buy it. When it's expensive, sell it. Remember, folks, the VIX is a heart rate monitor. Let's just look at a year. XRT, VIX, VIX. The VIX is a heart rate monitor, 1 year. It's not a stock, folks. It doesn't go like, the VIX doesn't do this like, hey, earnings came out and then, oh, boo, okay, but it's going up. No, folks. It reverts to its mean. Oh my God, freak out. It's still kind of freaked out and it's kind of gone. No, we're all good. No, we're not. Stay elevated, still elevated. Everything's fine, perfect. Nothing possibly could go wrong. Holy crap. It's a heart rate monitor. So you have to trade. If you want to trade volatility successfully, do the exact opposite of what it's doing. James, that's one of the best things I learned at TGO. Good. Larry, exactly. One of the other wisdoms is when the market is up and the VIX is up, something's up. There was a couple days in the past couple weeks where the Dow was up like 20, 30 points. It was green. And the VIX was up 10%. That's a canary in the coal mine, folks. I will repeat that. Market up, VIX up, something's up. So in the past week or two, when the market was up and this was up, that was telling you that people were like, woo, this is a hold your nose rally. We're not believing it, and we are hedging in case this thing pulls back. So here's what I would do. A couple things. We could do a a burner trade, right? A burner trade is simply this. And let me bring up FXI as example, because 15 grand essentially in a couple days is pretty damn spectacular. You know what's even more spectacular? Right here, we did a bearish burner trade that made $18,000 on about 6 grand in risk. We risked 6 grand to make 18. Wiz, I don't want to risk 6 grand. Well, what if you had risked 3? You would have made 9. What if you can do the math. So here's what a burner trade is. If you think something is going to go up, what could you do? Well, in the world of options, I could buy some calls, Wiz. You could. And I think that's an absolute waste of time. Buying calls to me is like being half pregnant. You're like, I'm pretty sure it's going to go up. Well, hey, man, I flew Hornets, and I'd like to trade and make money. I don't like pretty sure. So I like to say, if you're kind of bullish on something, buy some calls. If you're more than bullish, maybe you sell what we call a bull put spread, which means you don't think something's going to go down. Well, guess what? You want to talk about a Reese's peanut butter cup? If you think both is going to happen, hey, man, I don't think FXI is going to go down. Not only that, but I think it's going to go up. You can do both. You can do what is called a bull put spread here, which brings in a credit, right? It's called a credit spread. Take that credit and buy some upside calls. Whoa. I call it a burner trade because when we look at the P&L chart, it's like that. It's like an F-18 taking off on a runway and going straight up. Okay. But Peter, where's your hedge? Peter, everything's hedged. A bull put spread is hedged in and of itself. The losses are limited. You have a max loss. Calls are hedged. What is your max potential loss when you buy some calls? What you paid for them. I told you in this trade right here, these calls, these 41 and a half calls that made $9,600 cost me $1,800. So let's say I got this wrong. Donald Trump wasn't going to do a phase one. The most I would have lost on those calls was $1,800. Instead, they made $9,600. Okay, so we don't, everything's hedged here, Top. We don't do any quote naked trading. Everything is hedged, man. I never walked out to the F-18 and looked at the ejection seat and said, what a waste. I'm not going to get killed on this hop. Hey, Chief, come pull the ejection seat out. I'd rather have 800 pounds of gas. That's the day I got killed, right? So no, negative. So, well, you're probably sitting here going, well, Wiz, this thing's already lit off. It's already kind of doing its burner. Well, a couple things. I, most likely Monday after everything digests, next week am probably going to do a burner trade, but bearish. Okay? That's why I want to see what happens over the weekend. Do the Chinese agree? Blah, blah, blah. But the other burner trade I'd most likely look at is on volatility. I believe, and listen, before I even look at this trade, there is a distinct possibility during the life of this burner trade that it's showing red on your screen. If you're the type of trader who, when you place a trade, you expect to see green between now and when it expires, don't sign up because you just don't have it. You don't have the mentality. But I will brief you. I will specifically say, hey, man, during the life of this trade, there's a great possibility it's negative or it's, quote, losing money. Where do I care that it's making money? When it goes through the uprights, man. How many times have we seen a punter like shank it and all of a sudden it comes right back and it goes right through the uprights, or a golf shot? So I might actually, obviously the market's closed. I'm doing this after market hours because it was so busy today. I might wait till tomorrow or after the weekend to do this trade, but I'm going to show you in theory what it is. And in a couple minutes, I'm going to tell you how to become a member. So next week, I'll show you how to do this because I believe volatility is going to pop in January as the market rolls over. So before you even ask, yeah, I'd buy some puts on the S&P 500. If you look historically, even look at a 5-year chart, man, usually November, December, Santa Claus rally, January implosion. And it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The market knows that happens, so it usually happens. And obviously the exception last year with the Fed, I already briefed you on it. So yeah, that's one way to play a potential January implosion. Just go buy some puts right now on the S&P 500. And you know why I'd buy them right now? because of this big pop today, they're cheap. If we have a January, not if, when, I'm going to be more certain, when we have a January pullback, it's going to be right to there, 3,100 in my opinion. We kind of get this, and that's probably where it's going to go to. That's my 2 cents. So I would be buying the 3,100 puts, and they're damn cheap right now. After, yay, super good news. Everybody's happy between China and the U.S. No, we're not. So let's just get that out of the way. But I also think volatility is going to pop. Market rolls down, 80% of the time volatility goes up. Okay. And we want to buy it when it's cheap. So that's why I probably wouldn't do this tomorrow. Maybe wait until Monday. Peter, I got to be honest with you, kind of like this trade. We're getting immune to the trade back and forth stuff. I cared about Brexit. I paid attention to it. I traded it. And then for the past year and a half to 2 years, I don't even know who Boris Johnson is or what the hell is going on in the EU. They've lost me with their prime minister, not prime minister. Tomorrow it's you. Yesterday it's me. And we're leaving the EU. No, we're not. I don't care. And the market's already priced it in. Back in the day, it's a great question. Does everybody remember this? Oh my God, if Britain leaves, all world markets are going to implode. And Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan, like, we have to head. Nobody cares. No offense to our British cousins. At this point, you lost us. Anyway, so I would go out. I'd hop in my time machine, and if I'm looking to get long volatility, I would buy some calls, and I'd probably I currently have the Jan 15s on, and I think I have them at 17. Okay, this would be a straight call buy, and these are pretty cheap. You know, buying. How many did I buy in the burner trade here? Well, that's apples and oranges. I'd probably do like 25 of these. Okay, so I'd buy about 25 of these calls. Okay, good. Yep, Chris. Yeah, we saw that. So let me grab a screenshot of this just so I can kind of document that we did this. These would be the calls that I would buy. Now, when you are buying calls, the most you can lose on these calls is sitting there on the screen. If I did 25 of these contracts, the most I could lose is 33.75. Okay. Now, if you're listening to what I'm saying, and you're like, you know what? Yeah, I think I agree with you, man. That something is going to happen in January. If we get this rip your face off Santa rally, we are going to have profit taken in January. Dano. If you're buying straight calls, you buy them on VIX, not VXX. VXX is backwardation and contango. You do spreads on VXX. You do long calls on VIX. I gave a paper out to all of our members about the difference between VXX and VIX. So I think you're still a member. You should have that. Well, Wiz, those things are costing $3,300. Well, folks, if you think Vol's going to do that, which I do in January, you don't think it's going to do this, which is go down, right? It seems stupid to ask, but if you think something's going to go up, you also believe the converse is true, right? That it ain't going to go down. Hey, learning has occurred. So now I'll go over to VXX and look at putting on, because those calls, folks, I'd rather have somebody else pay for those calls. But let me just draw this right now. If you're 1R, if you're really bullish that volatility is going to go up in January and the market's going to go over, just buy some calls, those VIX calls. If you're really ×2, meaning really, really bullish that volatility is going to go up in January, then I would look at a bull put spread on VXX. Where? Well, we're down here at 16. Let's go out. Let's see what the expirations they have. I'd go with the mid-January ones, the Jan 20s, which means what? The third Friday of January, which is 1, 2, 3. So your trading platform, folks, it might say Jan 17 on them. On my platform, the Jan 17 expiration is the regular monthly expiration, which would be Jan 20. Okay? So I would look at a bull put spread. Let me just build this real quick, and then I'll explain it to you. Wow, I probably Let me do this, 150. Let me see what the risk is in this, and then I'll brief you on this. 75. 75. And we can, and I'm going to tie this all together in 5 minutes, guys. All right, this is close. All right, we might even do the 15s. Yeah, I'm going to do 80. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to brief you on the trade. We ain't going anywhere. All right, so I'm going to look to sell 80 of the Jan 2015 puts. That's me saying, hey, VXX. Yeah, what's up, Wiz? I don't think you're going to be below 15 by January 17th. Matter of fact, I think you're going to be a lot higher, obviously, but I don't think you're going to be below that. Okay, great. Well, what if I'm wrong, man? What if between now and January expiration, we not only get a trade deal, but I don't know, peace with Iran, peace with North Korea, and nobody wants to sell in January? I could be wrong, man. We could have a January rally. I don't think so. But if I'm wrong, I'm going to buy these downside puts. So I'm bullish on VXX or volatility. I'm using puts and it's a spread. This tactic, not a strategy, is called a bull put spread. It's also called what? It's on your screen. It's also called a credit spread. And some of you might have, it's a vertical spread. So I don't like calling something three things. It's a bull put spread. Okay. Right now, after market hours, and it's actually up after market close, which is interesting. 38 cents. Okay, that's the credit we bring in. Okay, actually, yeah, that's good. So now I always use this example because it's funny. I'm going to turn into a Catholic nun, Sister Mary Matthew, and it's not going to be pretty. Why? Because I got a ruler in my hand, and if you don't look where I tell you to look, I'm going to crack your knuckles. When I click this snapshot analysis tab, I want you to look at one place and one place only, and it's max potential loss right here. Boom, $5,000. Why? Because if I didn't tell you to do that, everybody except my current members would have looked up here and said, $3,000 in a month? Hell, put me in that trade. No, you never look at this first. You always look at your max potential loss. How can I get killed on this hop or this trade? And if it ain't cool with you, you ain't doing it. But where'd I get $5,000 from? 80 contracts. Wiz, I want to risk 2,500. All right, Einstein, then you would do 40 contracts. Wiz, I'm super bullish and I want to risk 10,000. Okay, Einstein, you do 106. I can't tell you what to do. I'm showing you what I would potentially do, right? But as an options trader, as a fighter pilot, we always look here first. You have to be a pilot and look at this and go, check. I acknowledge, I understand, that's my max potential loss. If everything goes, well, I was going to say, if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, actually this trade is going to make money. So no, if everything goes right and volatility goes down, then this trade loses money. But if things do go to hell in a handbasket, we actually make money on this trade. I got to flip my analogy. So if you ain't willing to risk that, don't do it. Change the amount of contracts. Now, once I put a check mark next to here and go, got it, pilot in command, I acknowledge that with check. Now you can look up at Mr., Mrs., or gender neutral happy face and go, okay, $3,000. So check this out. I am bringing in a credit of $3,000, and I just came out of pocket. What was it? $3,300 for the calls. So net, I'm coming out of pocket, folks. What? $300 to be bullish on volatility through Korea, Iran, maybe Trump waking up in the middle of the night and saying no deal, and a January implosion. $300 out of pocket, man. Sometimes I do these type of burner trades, bullish on volatility, and we're getting paid. One of the reasons we're not, folks, is because the VIX didn't go as low as you would expect it to be today on this good news. You know why? A lot of market participants are doing the whole, like Tamara said earlier, I'll believe it when the ink's dry, and then I'm still not going to believe it's a trade deal. So this was the biggest warnings I've had about this for 16, 18 months was, we're getting trade war fatigue, and then when it actually gets signed, nobody's going to believe it. Exactly. I think it's baked in. Okay. So actually, let me grab a screenshot of this. usually when I'm doing these demos, people are like, oh my God, man, I'm getting paid to put it. Somebody just walked into your kitchen. Hopefully you know who they are. Walked into your kitchen and said, hey man, I'm going to pay you $300 for the next month to be bullish, to be hedged against market implosion. Today, it's costing us $300, but guess what? How many of you would come out of pocket right now, $300 to sleep better at night in case the market implodes between now and January expiration? You don't even have to raise your hand and say me, because if you don't, you're an awful trader. And I mean that with all the full weight of the slam. Okay. Oh, thanks, Larry. I'll share that. Yep. Now, let me do this. So let me recap. 1R, I'm really bullish on volatility, Wiz. Buy some calls. 2Rs, you know what? I listened to your brief. I'm really, really bullish on volatility out to January. Bull put spread. Now, the 3Rs together, folks, Wiz, Iran, North Korea, Trump, impeachment, January sell-off, dude, you got me. I'm 3Rs. I am really, 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 I'm not kidding when I say this, folks. I'm going to teach you to have checklist, SOPs, standard operating procedures, but I'm not kidding you. If you don't have 3Rs, don't do a burner trade. If you are, do it. And here's what the total trade would look like. Let's add that VIX calls, right? You know what? I can't add that. No, you know what? I got to do it as two separate trades. I could throw on some calls in here. But then you should not be buying upside calls using VXX. But let me just kind of show you what the example of what this burner trade would be. Let me buy. I don't know. Let's do 45 of these. No, we probably have to do let's do 50, 50, 25. Let me see what that math works out to be. I'm just trying to kind of show you what the picture would be. This is why it's called a burner trade, folks. Look at the P&L. It looks like me going down the runway, pulling back on the stick, and it is unlimited. Look at the max potential profit. It is infinite. Let me scale this down to about, I don't want to risk more than $5,000. So let's go down to maybe 20 and maybe 45 each. There you go. So look at this, folks. This trade is risking 40, let's just round up and say $5,000 with unlimited upside. And I like hearing the term unlimited upside when you are trading something like VIX. I mean, look at, where are we? Look at when a freak out happens, man. Look at these. Look at that one. The VIX was up 105%. When these freakouts happen, guys, last week the VIX was up 10% a day. It was up 15 the next day. Look at this, from the low to the high. What's this one? 55%. Okay. So this. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I'm just showing you the VIX here. Look at these freakouts when they happen. Okay. So and whoever just said that, yeah, you're reading my brain here. I would not do that. Well, it depends. And this is why you become a member. I might do this tomorrow if it looks like, overnight we're getting the, hey, Trump agreed to this and then they're not type of thing. If tomorrow is green, I do this Monday. And guess what? I'm going to tell you right now how you can become a member and join me Monday when I'm going to do this trade. So if tomorrow's green, don't do this. Why? Because you can get those calls cheap because volatility is going to come in. But listen to me. So become a member. Don't just come to a free webinar and drive off. For the price of, essentially a nice dinner, you can join for a month. You got to join for a month, folks, because guess what? Between that, what's today, December 12th, between now and January 12th is a world of potential hurt and profit, and both. And yes, both are going to happen. Period. I like I said, I've been doing this for 27 years. That's going to happen. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to introduce you to our joint service. Our solo Amazon service is actually closed. We have to go to another room or hopefully some people know what they're doing and opt out. because it's huge. So no solo Amazon. We have room in our weekly options and our primary live trade brief. So this is called our joint service. So you're going to get access to our weekly options brief every Monday at 1 o'clock. Okay, it's a quick tactical session every Monday at 1 o'clock. We do a weekly options brief. The weekly options trade we have on right now is the EWZ one that I just told you I got to keep an eye on. If we get this, if this is good news for China and the US, it is going to be bad news for Brazil. So even if the one for tomorrow doesn't work out, you got to get bearish on the EWZ because their market's going to get hammered. Our success is going to be their failure. I'm telling you right now. If you're sitting there going, dude, Monday at 1 o'clock, I work for a living. 80 to 85% of our members work for a living. Guess what we do? Everything's recorded. I sit here in the brief or before the brief. I send out a text alert. I send out an email alert. I put the trades on the member page with the screenshots. And then after we're done the brief, look down here at the bottom. There's the replay from the brief. This was last week, folks. We made, what was it, 40? We had a Visa Iron Condor that made, where's the Visa Iron Condor? Like $3,700. Yeah, right here. $3,700 with 3,800 bucks on 3,800 bucks of risk. So every Monday at 1 o'clock, you're going to get access to weekly options. And then every Tuesday at 10 a.m., we do a longer brief. It's called the primary live trade brief. And look at, this is the one we did Monday. Or I'm sorry, Tuesday. Tuesday, this is that bull put spread, the 41.40 and a half that we're going to close tomorrow morning. So we did this Tuesday, and in what, a couple days, what was it up? 90 something percent. So this one's looking to make, it was up $1,600 when I showed you. This trade by tomorrow's close can make $2,100 since Tuesday morning. Always look at this. What was the risk, Wiz? It was right around, I'm going to teach you that we have an SOP. In Top Gun options, we don't want to risk more than 5% of our model portfolio. It's a $100,000 model portfolio. That's $5,000 for all you political science majors. You need to start coming up with your own SOP. I only want to risk 3%. I only want to risk 10%. You have to have a definition of that, though. I go around this country meeting individuals and traders who, hey, I'm in this trade. It's making this much. Okay, how much can you lose? I just told you I'm making this much. That's not what I'm asking you. How much can you lose? No. So that's every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Again, you get a text alert, you get an email alert. If you're sitting in death by meeting and you can't make the brief, you're going to get a text and email just when everybody else does. So you don't have to be in the brief. A lot of folks don't attend the briefs Monday or Tuesday. Watch them, kids go to bed later in the week, watch them on Sunday type of thing to catch up. And and you ready for this? I'm going to do some mental math for you. I'm going to give you these are your flight manuals. These are a must. Primary, intermediate, and advanced workbooks. This is a call, this is a put, this is volatility, these are spreads, these are iron condors. These things are fantastic. I got a lot of testimonials and case studies from folks like, dude, you really need to talk about those workbooks more because they're worth their weight in gold. If you went to the website right now to buy these three things, they're $197. So here's what I'm going to do right now. For $195, you can get access to both of these live trade briefs for a month. Okay, for a month. So if you're quick with your math, you just said, well, I'm getting these manuals for $197 and this is $195. You just made $2 for the love of God and all things holy. Yeah, I thought I gave you the link. Here it is. go.topgunoptions.com/joint. And I'll answer your questions a little bit. I ain't going anywhere. This is why we keep things small. You don't hear from me that often. Matter of fact, we only do our full throttle like 2-3 times a year because we keep the squadron small. No offense to everybody in here. There's freaking fantastic questions in the chat box and it's driving me nuts because as an instructor, I want to answer every one of these. And guess what? In our live trade briefs, I do. But that's why we keep these things we keep a limited membership because everybody needs, yeah, exactly. Well, you already saw it. That's exactly what I'll do. If you do an annual membership, we'll take 25% off the top right now. Nice 25% discount. Men lie, numbers don't. There's 11,300, there's 1,600, and there's 3,400. So with one of these trades, this trade right here, just the one trade from the primary live trade brief that I just showed you on Tuesday, is already up $1,600. Essentially your annual membership with one trade. Now, hey man, losing trades happen. I am not one of those guys that sits here and I just told you I have right now it's a losing trade on EWZ, but man, by tomorrow's close, who knows? I actually added to this. I sold into the spot. Remember, one of the reasons EWZ, the Brazil ETF, is up is because of this today. There are a lot of hedge funds and ETFs that trade the BRICS. Everybody knows what the FANGs are, right? Well, guess what the BRICS are? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. There's a lot of BRICS funds. So good news on the China deal did what today to the EWZ? It went up. But when the algo stopped trading that, and tonight, I guarantee I got to might be having drinks later with a buddy who trades the Bovespa because I want to ask to confirm this. He said, hey, I got a text earlier because I said, he's like, oh yeah. He's like, no, this is bad. This is bad. No offense, Wiz. He's like, this might be good for you guys. It's going to be bad for us. So losing trades happen, man. We have a great success rate in these two portfolios. What is it? Our third quarter, man, we made. You can't see it right there. I showed you that August was my best. We loved it. Look at that. It was like 20. There's the VIX and VXX. What's that? 23. That's 20-ish and 3. 26 grand, 43% in the third quarter, and we're having a blast in the fourth quarter. Yeah, it's in the chat box and it's easy to type. go.topgunoptions.com/join. Do me a favor. Soon as you welcome aboard. Soon as you register or get on board, get your membership, please watch the getting started video. People are like, hey, where's this? Where's that? This is why I made this video, is the answer. So you have questions about anything, hey, what time's this, or how do I get text? It's all in your getting started video. So as soon as you get on board right now, grab your membership, your annual discounted at 25%, or your monthly membership. Watch the getting started video. Get your manuals. I'd read those over the weekend. Okay, so I will be seeing many of you Monday at 1 o'clock for weekly options and Tuesday at 10 a.m. for the primary live trade brief. Between now and then, I'd grab those manuals and start burying my face in them. If you don't, you're not in the mood to that, you're more visual, go to the primary live trade brief or weekly options tab and see what we did this week. Go watch what we did. This trade's still good right now. UTX, anybody know what UTX is? United Technologies. It's a defense stock. Why are you bullish on a defense stock? You came in late because I just told you North Korea is going to light a bottle rocket and Iran's going to attack. The defense stocks have ignored everything with the trade war. The defense stocks could care less about the trade war. Look at Raytheon. So as soon as you become a member, get in there. The UTX trade from Monday is still pretty damn good, even with a nice percent pop today. Okay, yes, it's still a great trade. So do me a favor, get in there and start studying. Yes, Alan, this is all Eastern Standard Time. Everything is on Eastern Time. Larry, the workbooks are really a definite must-have. Use them when you go throughout the live trade briefs and recordings. You'll be glad you did. I appreciate that. Let me scroll up. Let me share this one. I appreciate that. Let me share this. Hold on, let me scroll up. I like these live case studies, man. This is where the real learning takes place. You got to invest in yourself and learn this for yourself. At TGO, I personally made enough to pay for membership within a month. Sweet. And he says, and I trade a small account with my SOP. So appreciate that, Larry. Okay, now let me go back and backfill some questions here. Sam, what trade do you have for UTX? Sam, you are a member. It is on the member page, so you can go check it out. Ralph, that is being posted as we speak. Ralph, this was a busy afternoon, man. I was on a lot of phone calls and trying to tamp down rumors and stuff like that. So yeah, today's brief is getting posted as we speak. Peter, no, I'm talking about the spot VIX. So the VIX itself actually trades, puts and calls in the S&P 500 30 days out. So exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a 25% discount. Chris, was this recorded tonight so I can view it later? Absolutely. Yep. That's kind of lower down the poll right now to get this replay out because I have other member stuff to do. But yeah, I can maybe send out this replay. Tamara, be sure to join now. every Jan, Feb, I more than double my trade account. That's exactly right, folks. We have a blast in January and February. It's insanity. People are like, oh my God, my 401k is imploding. I'm like, what? I kind of stand there in the corner at the cocktail parties and, well, I don't laugh at people losing money. But it's I'm not going to say like shooting fish in a barrel, but it kind of is at this point. When something happens 90% of the time, it's a relatively safe trade. So I essentially just gave you the primary live trade brief. It's hour and a half, a little bit longer. The weekly options brief every Monday, 30 minutes ish, very tactical, quick strike, get our weekly options trade on. Okay, even if you don't, weekly options are a little too tactical for you right now. Do this joint offer, because it's the first brief of the week, and I'm usually setting the tone or laying out what's going to be happening that week. Yeah, absolutely. Welcome aboard. You're welcome. 25% discount. Yeah. if this was free, I can imagine what the membership's like. I appreciate that. I usually catch grief from my marketing folks for doing for over giving in these briefs, but hopefully you learned some stuff today, folks. I like I said, I kind of fly around and play secret squirrel every once in a while at other places, and about by now it's at Brand X, you would be on slide 902 of what this guy did 15 years ago type of thing, and you have no idea who or she is or what they do. I cover this stuff live. We do it live, and like I said, men lie, numbers don't. These FXI trades were great. 18 grand a couple months ago with the burner trade bearish, and 11 grand today with the burner trade bullish. Fantastic. But again, let me just hedge my thing. Pamela, good brief. Missed hearing your thoughts. Hey, Pamela. Yeah, welcome back. Now, let me just say, this could have gone the other way, right? I mean, Trump could have increased the tariffs, but I told you, HK, I wrote that a month ago, and I put this. I said he's going to sign the Hong Kong bill, even though if he sounds like he's kissing Xi Jinping's ass, and he's going to punt these tariffs to make good with them. Both of those things happen, and we've had a fantastic November and December. Okay. One quick final thing, if you have any questions, concerns, oh, by the ways, in between the briefs or anything like that, we have an online forum called the Ready Room. You can just get on here. I mean, we got members that talk back and forth to each other, post intelligence, all sorts of stuff. So you can get in here and talk to me. You can talk to your fellow members and stuff like that. So it's called the Ready Room. It's a great online. There's good threads here like patience versus panic and stuff like that. So good stuff. Yep. One more time. It is on here. I think you'll get an email after this with the link as well, but just click on this link. It's in the chat box down here, go.topgunoptions.com/brief. Essentially, you're saving $2. You're getting $197 worth of manuals, and you're only paying $195 per month. And yeah, you can. I didn't ignore your question. Somebody just said, can we upgrade into an annual? Yeah, kick the tires for a month. Kick the tires for January and February as this gets crazy, and then upgrade to an annual. Make enough money for an annual. So, all right, guys. Again, sorry I went long. I know everybody in here a drink at our next live event for going too long, but I think we covered some good ground. Like I said, my first priority is to my members. I got to get the replay from today posted from our daily brief and stuff like that, and then I'll try and get this replay out to folks. But I mean, if you're waiting for the replay and you're here now to join, I kind of failed my mission. So it's not a high priority to get out right now because I got a couple phone calls to do, maybe go have a drink with the guy that trades the Bovespa and see what his opinion is, and then talk to some other folks to make sure what I'm thinking is going on with North Korea and Iran. All right, guys, make sure you watch tomorrow's Friday market wrap-up. That's my free video I do every day. I do a daily sit rep, right? Hopefully everybody on this is getting my sit rep. If you're not, here you go. This is a daily video sit rep. Let me make sure you guys are getting all this. And do me a favor, click on this sit rep every day. You should be watching it. I mean, it's just ask me. I get my daily rants in here. But if you don't click on this and you have Gmail, guess what Google does? They're like, well, this dude hasn't clicked on this email in a while. And, we're going to put it in spam. So if you don't stay on the sit rep, but you should be watching every day. I'm not kidding you. It's some good, especially now with the impeachment, and I was ripping Trump apart last week with the attacks in Pensacola. I'm no dyed-in-the-wool Trump supporter, man. I will rip the guy to shreds when it's needed, but we do our good daily rant. So do me a favor, scroll down, just name an email, and you can get the daily sit rep for free. Okay, even if you don't join. All right, guys, good. I'm going to go watch some hockey, go get a drink with the Brazilian guy, make sure my strategic mindset is good to go, and then I will see many of you Monday at 1 o'clock. You ready for this? Go Army, beat Navy. Saturday, Navy is going to pound Army into the dirt in Philadelphia. Go Navy, beat Army. God bless you guys. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge, and I'll see you on Monday. Welcome aboard.